kind of the subject matter, right, is that I didn't, obviously I feel bad as far as feeling bad that someone lost their life. And in this case, a group. And then there's one little story in there, which I don't know how true or not it is, but they were doing it for Father's Day weekend. This guy wanted his kid to go. His kid originally said no. And his kid's like, I think it's 19, so not like little, but not on their own. And probably.
Interesting about that, the son who went on, the mom, she spoke for the first time. She was actually supposed to be on there, but her son kept bugging her and saying it was a dream. Like, hey, I want to go. So they switched spots.
Wow.
Can you imagine how that mom probably feels right now?
Yep.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's shouldn't have done it, which I also agree. Like, why would you do it? You know what I mean? It's like, these are one of those things where, like, for example, if the people that rode up with Jeff Bezos when they did the launch where they, it's the first time civilians been in space, and half of those civilians were also rich people, and I think William Shatner or something was on there.
He was.
Now, if that exploded, because it's a fucking missile that you strap yourself onto, would people be sad? Of course. But it's also like you're tying it to like the same thing, not to not be empathetic for anyone who has lost, but I mean, it's funny you said white people shit, because like I said the exact same thing. I was like, that's rich white people shit. Like, I'm gonna be on the moon. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, fucking okay.
Well, did you guys see all the memes that that came? The one that stuck out to me the most, and it's look, we have dark humor. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they showed, it said poor person, casket, middle class, same casket, upper class rich, same casket. It said billionaires, and then it had the Titan Submersible.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I was like,
wow, but that's it's kind of it's a parody of the situation.
The Titanic.
Because I saw one too. It was a Fisher Price like helicopter, like put together by PVC pipe, and it said like $250,000 rides to volcanoes. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? This costs a lot of money. That's obviously why billionaires and people of that stature are able to do it. Backstory about the sub. The sub had 11 successful missions, but what's unclear is what the depth that it went at. And so that was kind of interesting. So it's like, even though, yes,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's like, how much of the media do you believe, not believe, or what do they tell you to make for a better story? Because there was a lot of stuff coming out where they cut corners. They used the the game controller you can buy for $12 on Amazon is the same thing that piloted the sub from inside, and it's like, okay, cool, but like people use that as like this was just a shitty construction, and I'm not saying that it wasn't. I have no clue,
right?
But it's like you tie in like one thing, and it's like, well, if they needed a modular controller and they had something that worked that was a video game stick, and they're giving it to regular people to go do this, you keep it as basic as possible, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not trained professionals, so that's why it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, there was enough behind it. It wasn't like, this is our first time ever. Okay, because then I would be like, I might feel more worse in that case. Right. Where I was like, man, they really just didn't know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Think about this, you guys. I walk up to you, Evan, Sam, Jordan. Hey guys, I got the money. I built a sub with somebody. We're gonna go down to the deepest part of the ocean. Okay? And how do I control it? I use a cheap PlayStation controller. That's Bluetooth.
Yeah,
my headphones have problem above water getting Bluetooth. I would hope you guys would look at me and be like,
I don't know, dog.
Yeah.
I don't know, dog.
I'd be like, how about this?
I would say
I'll be there for when you guys launch off. Yeah. And then when you get back, I'll be the first person you see.
Exactly. I'll welcome
It's kind of like we did it together, but I didn't go.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd just be like, no, man, I'm sorry. I wouldn't do it.
No. You know what? So I haven't looked too deep into this, but has there been anything recovered that could be something like a black box?
I don't know about black box, but they know, like, as far as recording systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They found pieces of the sub that may have remains of individuals inside, but not as far as like, this was this person, this was that person. And it's just really interesting because the timing of this, again, this is where the conspiracy side kicks in. It was like, So that happened over the weekend, and supposedly that information that there was a catastrophic event and failure happened on Sunday, right? But it was withheld being talked about till, the results of that were held to keep it going because that same Sunday was with the arraignment with Hunter Biden and the information about him getting the plea deal after the DOJ taking their, with all the backstory of everything going on with the computer. And it was just basically talking about embezzlement and
you know what's happened at the same time when that Titan Sub were withholding information? Mm-hmm. JP Morgan Chase paid off all the Jeffrey Epstein people who were involved, $200 million to those affected by him.
Whoa.
And they somehow lost over a million plus emails between them and Epstein and the government.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that was also lost.
Whoa!
That happened during that time.
So that was because that was when J.P. Morgan was going after the account holdings from the island, right? Yeah. Because whatever country controls or whatever that region is in, they were withholding. This has been going on for like the last year and a half.
Yeah,
they've been trying to get that money back.
Right.
And
it peaked. It peaked at the same time, and this is not to. It's sad that this happened. Like, I wouldn't wish, all joking aside and how we kid, it's tragic, right?
Absolutely.
There are multiple families that are in mourning and hurting right now.
Yeah.
But you're going to tell me that, but how come in the news it also didn't hit that JP Morgan Chase paid out $200 million to those who were affected by Epstein or getting possibly raped or sex trafficked, and they lost all the emails and records. They were just accidentally deleted by an employee at JP Morgan Chase, and now 1 million plus emails are gone that linked them to him.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I mean,
I really am not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because like a lot of the shit that we talk about on here, like
yep.
To me, like if you were telling somebody like little pieces that we've been talking about, like this specifically, you'd be like, oh man, that sounds like a movie, or it sounds like not real.
Yeah.
And then it's just little things like slip in there. They're like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, the sub's crazy,
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And that's the thing, right? Is that it's like, so that happened, right? The, I said arraignment, but I think it was the decision because it came out that Hunter, instead of like having to serve jail time or anything,
he pled guilty and
he pled guilty.
Yeah.
So like he
he's
said,
not serving anything.
everything on the laptop's legit. Biggest thing is the implication of using foreign power to gain money with our current president, right? Which is a big no-no because he was the VP at the time, and we've talked about that like for length. So, but it's like, okay, now all the information's there. They have the bank accounts, they have the wire transfers, they have the money, they know who these people are, the players, the text, everything, and he even said, "I'm guilty of it." Yeah, it's true.
He's free.
It's all true. And he goes, they're like,
Yeah. Are you sure?
make a decision in 2 fucking days, dude. In 2 days. It took OJ. And he did it. The only thing he didn't do was plead guilty.
OJ did that shit.
Yeah. Or there's a fucking psycho still out there who's in his late 60s now.
So here's a big question for you guys. So if Hunter Biden's getting off, and all this stuff is true, how are they still prosecuting Donald Trump? That's my question. How is that still kind of going through?
I think that they are going to start going after Biden so that they could put one of their shills in there. And like I hear word that's like, oh, it's going to be like someone like Newsom and everything. And God forbid, I hope it's not. But I think that they're I know that the White House staff or the White House news room and all that, they're all starting to turn a little bit because they're all just asking the same questions and all that. And then who's the person that talks about or who talks to the press?
The press secretary.
The press secretary. Like, so basically she's like, oh, well, that's family. And like, I'm not here to talk about family issues. It's like, yeah, well, if they keep on bringing it up, it's like, well, even if this person wasn't related, like, let's say that person wasn't related to the president, would you still invite that person to the presidential dinner or whatever and everything?
Yeah.
And